Welcome back to Ghana Speaks Extension. Of course, in this edition, we go out from the Special Prosecutor's report and a review. Folks, tonight, we are giving you part 3. And of course, we've walked one leg of the journey, making remaining 2. And that's about 2 minutes gone past the hour 9. I am Kweku Anna. Now, folks, baby Adri, you reports in Winchell. And take notes. For pen, any paper. For pen, any paper. Take notes. Suyadia for pen or pen, any paper. Ne suyadia. Not taking notes. It be another report to win be. Now the machine be them here. That's Ghanaian for you. Afina a Japadia document na ehuyana. Oh, no we are friend. Oh, copy. And now you say a special abrogation for. Kwekuma oh, mama copy. Kwekumini copy oh, Japadia document minibio and then say all say ya na moye monia. Say ya oh. Say ya na Ghanaians yet here. But making a be another document in the brano or delete when no, on your ready to be dear. Learn tonight. Yes, sensation being here. Suya dear. Now, Yamra documents him quickly. Maybe kind of crash them. Friday, no movie, and that's maybe bonito. Now, my main kind portion be not here. They'll say, consequently, the was constrained. Or say that, guys, can I move on? Great. Or say, consequently, the Air Force was we documented 2 screens. So, into more winning a share. Utumi call. No way pull documents and according to the way I hear you, we are giving you further and better particulars for you to read. Or say the Air Force was constrained to consider other options. After selection review, it was opted for the CASA C295 aircraft from Airbus because it met its operational requirements at a much cheaper cost. Equally important, delivery of the aircraft was guaranteed for the end of 2011. The Air Force accordingly wrote to the Minister for Defense on its choice. In the reckoning of former President Mahama, the decision to acquire the C295s was taken professionally by the Ghana Air Force and the military command in general, in the best interest of Ghana and in a broad consultation with relevant stake institutions, including the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Defense, and ultimately parliamentary approval. Therefore, any suggestion that he had corruptly or improperly influenced in any way of acquisition is simply fanciful and untrue. What I say? Not just a wushimwa aircraft 295 no. A quite fast will be drew Ghana according to OSP. All the stakeholders in echo anobabaye and tiasie ye juma and tiasie ye juma no so no afi ekoba say den the aircraft in ba memha Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Finance, including the parliamentary committee no in consultation women operative word that one say broad consultation. Now as a former President Mahama opined that he believed the allegations of corruption leveled against him stemmed from the fact that Samuel Adam Foster, his brother, was involved in Airbus activities in Ghana and elsewhere in Africa at the time, and suspicion was always that because of that familial relationship, Foster might have been a corrupted source for influence government decision to award the supply contract to Airbus. Former President Mahama stated that he had no hand whatsoever in the establishment of any relationship, formal or otherwise, which Foster had with Airbus. After former President Mahama, he interviewed no. Say, don't want na a man for Nijiti say yes. Akunya Sebia noa Foster na nam se wako eni nuano. Oyina no be enye ye chese bebre preference no o influence aban no at the time ono Mahama or power. Say beya abranti aye Foster Obeboama abandoned to me to toss our plane because of Ninu Mahama, your president. But Ahana Mahama so him say no. And the Caribbean him say Abranti and Nakasano, and your Ghana and Kwana or front Mamu. Foster no air front to African nations be pre Sebe on bedding. Womubenya sa contract. Now, so former President Mahama admitted that during his term as Vice President of the Republic, he met with officials of Airbus sometime in February. On March 2011, on an official trip to the Airbus team made a representation to government on their products, including helicopters. He stated that it was a formal meeting attended also by the Minister of Finance, representatives of the Ministry of Defense, and the commander of the Ghana Armed Force. Former President Mahama also admitted that he subsequently met one or other Airbus officials in his office a couple of times in connection with the sale of the aircraft. He described the meetings as being invariably official engagements with one or other responsible state official present, the purpose of which was to discuss progress of the proposed sale of the aircraft. Now, former President Mahama also said, apparently, no, or signing and penifui be so a on the office, a brand nasa office, one on Mushano, Womoyano, Baba, say, Beya, Womubetimiade, a convention of former President Mahama said, Obetimiade, ato aircraft. No, a didra. A dread ye beyond, so yes, sir. O products ni you and you, as so corner quite you who scales. Now, Ochirimusa at a point, another meeting, a person say because for London, a bisu course one the office. Now, the office one, Mohammed Chirimu interview we said there were some government, high-ranking government officials be almost so kahwa. Womo kahuma meeting akoye ma Airbus semino etimi ayeden womodi. So former President Mahama further stated he never received any bribe or inducement or gained any personal benefit or advantage from the procurement of the aircraft for Ghana, and that Airbus did not make any such allegation against him. Or Chirimu quick, Sikau, bribe, a debut inducement to whatever. Airbus for and then a trust him as Uncle Mudino, a course. Now, on his part, Samuel Adam Foster stated that he unequivocally denied the accusations against him, that he was involved in any bribery activities with Ghanaian public officials or any individuals on behalf of Airbus. He recounted that from late 2009 to approximately 2015 to 2016, he served legitimately as a consultant and business partner for Airbus, contributing across all its sectors, encompassing projects in Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, Nigeria, and Suriname, as required by Airbus. Afi John Mahama Nyane air car symbol is fundamentally important. Say, akonyasa wo fa su tu na namono. When tu na mo say na obehwe say bribe bi beko so e wo Ghana ama government official di age. Esan say edwuma na no wo ye no wo ye na edwuma so wo consultant. Ebiom enye Ghana nko na wo ye edwuma wo. Wo ye edwuma ema the Uganda government. Wo ye edwuma ema the Kenyan government. Or ye edwuma ema the Nigerian government. Or sansu eye edwuma eso ema Suriname government, you know, according to Airbus for requirement. Now, Foster illustrated that in the aftermath of the tragic Kenyan police Aerocopter AS350 helicopter crash on 10th June 2012, Airbus, the manufacturer, was becoming estranged from the Kenyan authorities. A directive by a senior vice president of Airbus assigned Foster and his team the mission of repairing high-level relations with the Kenyan government. The campaign led to a restoration of Airbus' relationship with the Kenyan authorities. Foster opened that after performing all these services for Airbus, it was unfair to portray him falsely as a facilitator of bribes, and that the misrepresentation of his contributions and the failure to recognize the lawful nature of his activities have resulted in unwarranted allegations of corruption. Here, Mahama Nwe Eka Assembly is fundamentally important. Say, Assembly si wo Kenya ho, chere say Kenyan government ni procure helicopter be free Airbus for ho. Na sa helicopter yi ebehwe fom no Airbus for esma no eni mpanifo bi so omonko enkohwe by way of say in the facilitation processes, so make me replace Airbus and Nampo even a bit me a year. Wakoye said you may na the ma Airbus for Emma Sumdre Eba Airbus, any Kenyan government in them, into the Nasi Amode Manuni. Ubi Sassem. Or yes, said you may na Rieno, Sika air some of the man no. Airbus a person more than in the United States, a bribe and on the man. I say anything. Foster contended that, contrary to the assertion that he lacked the relevant aviation experience, he obtained his pilot's license in South Africa in 2000, and that in any case, Airbus criteria for business partners did not require practical experience. Further, he stated that his engagement with Airbus was not predicated on family connections, but on a genuine interest and understanding of the aviation sector. Now, when we say Ebisu raising questions, John Mohammed Yanokrano, oni certificate or oni bibia any experience biawo aeroplane museum. But here he's telling us onya a license, a private pilot license in South Africa in 2000 and odi yenejuma. By the way, business bia so woni Airbus kra air no. Airbus for no rules and regulation does not require say you must acquire any license in aeronautics. No. In so some na bebo mu saying. You see, and some no one kind document na appreciate you because could you and a Mahama no say yeah the Akufo ada nya wode. Na no yes Akufo ado air clearing agent MPP fo bi dwa keke. Na hwe. If you bebo Philip Sean Meadows stated that he unequivocally denied the accusation that he was involved in bribery activities with Ghanaian public officials or any individuals on behalf of Airbus. He contended that from late 2009 to approximately 2012, he served legitimately and in good faith as a consultant and business partner for Airbus, and that his primary role was to assist and facilitate in the completion of the sale and purchase of the aircraft, which had already been selected and approved by the relevant government authorities and agencies before the involvement of him and his colleagues. Now, Ore Sunidin a feature prominently in the whole of this report to a friend of Philip Sean Meadows. Meadows, as a one onye corrupt. I say government authorities now more engaging in this transaction. Ombe hu enyoma eni so. No ma yo meduma. Only do a business guy, consultant. No wajini sika no wakone baby. But say corruption be no be yes so be tran through be anyway you scabin na sefono. Philip Sean Meadows said no. Enyana Cressa. Now, Meadows stated that the narrative suggested by Airbus and subsequently recorded in the DPAs inaccurately portrayed him as a conduit for bribery. Grossly distorted the reality of his involvement. He argued that he worked on an industry standard success-based commission and that remuneration due to him was invoiced by and paid into company D or the company owned by consultant 4 and consultant 5, of which he was a shareholder. Or say, or ye neduma wa ne kwan so say ye betua ne ka sike bia o mutua ye so ne ye tuegu account mu sa account no or ye shareholder enso wo nti obi am sike bia me share ne nsem sese. Now, Lenny Sarah Davis stated that she was never involved either professionally or personally with Airbus or any individual connected to Airbus, whether in Ghana, the UK, or Europe. She declared that she categorically denied any accusations of misconduct. Mami Winso amunim na Lenny Sarah Davis. Or say, on kai de biara da se obi disika abehye ne nsem ana one Ghana mpenimfo bi ana UK mpenimfo bi eye kat bu katabi wo ba bi say oh yenye ni se nye se sanse sika se na se ba mesem ne djuma no professional. Now, Davis recounted that she was appointed the company secretary of Company D, or the company owned by Consultant 4 and Consultant 5, on 10th February 2010 until its dissolution on 20th September 2012. She stated that she was never employed by Airbus. Her name did not appear in Airbus-related email communication statement or facts, or within the DPA. Further, she stated that she was never questioned about the Airbus case nor received any correspondence from the UK, US, French, or Ghanaian authorities regarding alleged bribery linked to Airbus. My minute was to say, one year Juma Airbus or ye Juma with a private company. Period. A biom on the Airbus for so any correspondence of may ye way at the ama Airbus, quitty crime be so, Airbus for so the Sikabia Famania say, and I mean, say, Bibia saying, see, a Juma no ye ni nano, or ye strictly with a company, not until any time be said. The US government for na no muye hwehwemu and now said the British government are no muye hwehwemu no wompo e de letter bi abeto was onyi nsem bi say no strictly business. On Sarah Phoenix's part, she stated that she wondered why she became a subject of the OSP's investigation, since she merely served as a silent director for a company which was not the focus of the Airbus investigations in the UK, US, or France. She denied any allegations of wrongdoing, and she stated that she had never been involved with Airbus. Now, Mami we so kana sem say, onumpo die dwuma no wo ye no. Ene Airbus for kra ni twaka bia. Nti ono kra de mode ne be frame kra ye den. Mamu be bia asem na da, sa Mami Sarah Phoenix or whatever her name is. One kra de o se ni dwuma ono kra ye no ene Airbus kra emme ho. Nti special prosecutor kra no, ono kra no wo be frame na investigating wo kwan ben so. Wonim hwe fa Airbus bia ho. Folks, afi yenhwe OSP ni observations no. Observations of OSP no. Saying and the OSP no ohun fire. Take a listen to this.
Intermediate role. At the time his brother served as the vice president of Ghana was a case of luckless coincidence that attracted the disappointment. Now, to our observations. The OSP's mutual legal assistance requested from the UK and US authorities placed the OSP in a position no better than any person who read the DPAs and the decisions of the UK and US courts on the Airbus matter. It was not a lack of industry or want of trying on the part of the OSP. In the end, the OSP had to conduct the investigation on its own without any real help. However, the DPAs and the decisions of the UK and UK courts served as a vital foundation for the OSP investigation. After all, the president's referral to the OSP was on the back of the DPAs and the judicial pronouncements. Therefore, the OSP investigative outcomes are substantially similar to that of the SFO of the United Kingdom and the DOJ of the United States. Our investigation shows, as captured in the UK and US deferred prosecution agreements, the Airbus indeed completed 2 sale campaigns in Ghana in respect of C-295 twin-turboprop military transport aircraft manufactured in Spain by a subsidiary of Airbus. The campaigns resulted in the sale of 3 C-295s. The first contract between Ghana and Airbus was signed on 3 August 2011 for the sale of 2 of the aircraft, and the second contract was signed on 5 March 2015 for 1 C-295. The 3 aircraft
Good. Special prosecutor no na ekase. Ti asem ni ye na we mesrel take notes. Bibia we take notes. We are for notes no kwato ho. Ebia na we need document ni bi. But tonight, my men running special birthday and na me refi. Auntie Mel Means or Connecticut. And run out do birthday. Mel Means or online or internet system so. Mel Means, I am belated happy birthday and run out do birthday. God bless you. Mel Means or Connecticut. Nyakopon bless you to say the word blessed Trump no. Anna Kamala Harris. Emunia na ope. I know meaning say Trump asem, but God bless you and right with you birthday in Grand Star. God bless you, Mammy Melmes, Connecticut. Now, folks, special prosecutor the way so Osan Twa Subium ewo kwan ben so or da bibi so edi e de akyere me no mi no special prosecutor no tie na tie nie take a lesson.
The first between Ghana and Airbus was signed on 3 August 2011 for the sale of 2 of the aircraft, and the second contract was signed on 5 March 2015 for 1 C-295. The 3 aircraft were delivered to Ghana on 17 November 2011, 19 March 2012, and 4 December 2015, respectively. That is to say, they were actually delivered. The OSP investigation also shows that in the general scheme of affairs, the acquisition of operational assets by the Air Force is driven by national and operational requirements. So when a need is identified, the Air Force Command develops a technical paper upon which providers are requested to make presentations on technical details, logistics support, and cost. If a provider meets the requirements, a formal contract in the form of a sales and purchase agreement are drafted by the provider for the consideration of the Air Force. Thereafter, stakeholder meetings are held among representatives of the Air Force, Attorney General's Department, Department of Legal Services of the Ministry of Defense, the Judge Advocate General's Office, and the provider, all aimed at arriving at a consensus on outstanding issues and conflicting positions and resulting amendments to the draft agreement. Thereafter, the agreement is submitted to the Ministry of Defense for cabinet and parliamentary approvals. The Air Force then constitutes a compliance team to work closely with the provider to ensure that the delivered item meets the agreed specifications. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the processes leading to the purchase by the government of Ghana of 3 C-295 twin turboprop military transport aircraft from Airbus followed substantially the same pattern. Parliament proposed transactions in 2011. In accordance with the laws of Ghana, in the estimation of the OSP, there was nothing remarkable about the deal, and it certainly would not have found its way in the U.S. deferred prosecution agreements and made headlines around the world, but for the involvement of former President John Dramani Mahama and his younger brother of the full blood, Samuel Adam Foster, also known as Samuel Adam Mahama, and his associates, as recounted in the UK and US deferred prosecution agreements. The OSP investigation found no evidence that former President Mahama was involved or played any role in the procurement and maintenance of the agency relationship between Airbus and Foster and his associates in respect of the purchase by the government of Ghana of military transport aircraft from Airbus. And it appears to the OSP that the direct communications and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal were actuated by good intentions on the part of the former president. It also appears that Foster and his associates became intermediaries in the Airbus Ghana deal after the decision by the government of Ghana in preference of the C-295 aircraft. Therefore, it seems that Foster's Airbus intermediary role at the time.
The special prosecutor can make on free my dream pacho kofami hu ebufu ana kwekuni ye Mahama edwuma ma pacho me ka de papa na dwene eka afi won say special prosecutor no de asem ni ato ho say aircraft no 1 2 3 ni na ba o manim de to so biom e by in accordance with rules and regulations enshrined in the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ministry of Finance, the Judiciary, Parliament, stakeholders nina yomeduma ye pepe. So it could not have been there. Obia for kwiti kwan bismi the aircraft na besi ko to kai the Akosha Armed Forces nsa emesike bia faase. Afi papa yi chire mu se eye fence no a Foster no a Foster no hun semini na abani na nche wo hwe mu a abrante no hun ni asem nanso akoye se wonua pani ene edi ade no president nti de da ye bekọ akoso ani pitri ye de behye ye de nsem sa begu no efi but no G investigations in ebekom etese ye te hasisi ye President Akufo-Addo ni nuanom dodo san ina egu aban mu President Akufo-Addo ni nua Ken Ofori Atta, no a Minister of Finance, the private company, a enterprise assurance. You can say enterprise assurance, many, if not all, about 80% to 90%, government agencies need enterprise assurance and a yom insurer. As some papas are, Obi in Casa. Nano de Monko Fab Ma, Emanu Yemu, and some young Kamunzem. You can't ye a nipa on what could this post we adding a private company, air the warrior. Can you imagine? Well, special prosecutor Eddie Besiha and ne. No, Odi Besino, Obe and no. A day and all day Soswa and the Maminu me and Yesuya de Bifro. Take a listen to him.
Intermediary role. At the time his brother served as the vice president of Ghana was a case of luckless coincidence that attracted the disapproval of the UK and US authorities. The OSP found no evidence that suggests that the involvement of Foster as an intermediary of Airbus and the direct communications and meetings between former President Mahama and officials of Airbus to close the deal between Airbus and the government of Ghana amounted to any corruption and corruption-related offense in respect of which the OSP has a mandate. However, it ought reasonably to have occurred to President Mahama and the government of Ghana that the familiar relationship between former President Mahama and Foster and the direct participation by former President Mahama in the communications and meetings with Airbus officials were bound to raise reasonable suspicions of improper conduct and dealings, notwithstanding any claims to good faith conduct and above-board dealings, especially in light of the fact that during the first Airbus campaign, former President Mahama was the chairman of the Armed Forces by reason of his position as the vice president, and therefore a very key decision maker. Such close proximity dealings by such elected high officials of the Republic and their kin and close associates on behalf of the Republic should neither be viewed favorably nor encouraged, as they give rise to reasonable suspicion of influence peddling and conflict of interest, never mind any intended good faith on the part of the vice president or the president. Then again, the direct participation of the president and the vice president on behalf of the Republic in commercial communications and meetings with commercial entities should not be encouraged either, as they expose these elected high officials to the specter of the slightest hint of perceived corruption that may attend international business transactions. The president and the vice president should be insulated from such direct commercial dealings. Indeed, it seems to the OSP that the only reasons why the Airbus Ghana deal found its way into the UK and US DPAs were the fact that former President Mahama and Samuel Adam Foster were brothers of the full blood, and that former President Mahama directly participated in commercial communications and meetings with Airbus officials. This is because, and here, without seeking to critique the UK and US deferred procurements, the OSP found no evidence, circumstantial or direct, which suggests that Foster and his associates were actually paid bribes, and which bribes were to be transmitted to former President Mahama, and that the bribes were actually paid to former President Mahama.
Great. Now, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting angle. Aha. And I'm there part 3 in DC, but I need to quickly do this with you folks. OSP can be very, very fundamental. So we shall Branton a Foster now one of the things that would bring Foster much closer to the brouhaha is to establish that one, we are a blood brother to John Mahama and Nedikai. Number two, I feel the fact that all you need to as a businessman. Wunuyano and waye president watia kunyaso. And under no circumstance, if not otherwise by say Yakuta evidence clear, suggest you are taking an undue advantage to influence your way. Otherwise, then it suggests otherwise. He said nobody would believe that Adams Mahama eye bone anawanya bone. It would take much more an investigation to establish whether or not Abrantini Yeneduma strictly as a consultant and nothing more. Here, the OSP again nails it right there. Said, no adverse evidence that suggests that Adams Eyebonibi Anasika Sembi Koso. There are also miensa. Now, OSP used two adjectives, and I think that was quite an improper adjectives to use by way of saying close proximity. No, that's not a construction. Proximity, close are both the same. So you can't say close proximity. Now, he's trying to bring our minds to something, and that is about the fact that John Mahama, at the time of being a vice president, was the chairman of the Ghana Armed Forces. Therefore, proximity to the Armed Forces High Command could perhaps give John Mahama up to one, say, an undue influence over the armed forces. So that could allude to all of that. Or if you like, by way of takeaway clause, you can use John Mahama being the chairman of the Ghana Armed Forces. The proximity, say, obetimi enya an undue influence over the Ghana Armed Forces, either of the two. That's what the OSP is trying to say. Now, and again, that's quite fundamental in the sense that, say, John Mahama not all year, armed forces a year. The possibility also say obetimi influence the Ghana Armed Forces. Say, no, aircraft in yento yenye say na mumfis can be counted, ma pass ma pass bia manager menye bia Africa crap. We now why establishing now. However, the OSP again nails it there, right there. Say, ni nampuno we nya one iota. Say, the fact that not oye a chairman of armed forces no crown BBC echoes. Folks, I am speaking not my mind, but the mind of the OSP in a report here. But the maba patreno with the way Friday, ye babe twaso. Na me babe ya DBCC so stay